What does it take to sustain a highly successful run in Vegas? One that keeps packing them in and selling out the house year after year. I mean, just think of all the successful, big-time entertainers that have lit up that strip. From Elvis to Wayne Newton, Liberace to the Rat Pack with Sinatra, Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. But believe it or not, you add up all the years those great entertainers performed on stage in front of millions, and it still doesn't equal an entertainment event that came to town in 1985. And it's still kicking. The Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Yep, the NFR has been bucking the odds for 30 years. And in Cowboy vernacular, they keep loading head and pulling gates with no sign of letting up. So I tip my hat to the organizers, the Cowboys, the fans that fill the seats, and yes, even to our four-legged, often ferocious friends at the Cowboys and Cowgirls riding rope on their way to a hopeful world championship. They all combined to put on one of the most successful shows in the history of Las Vegas entertainment.
Welcome to the National Finals Rodeo.
The National Finals was conceived in 1959 when the powers that be decided that their sport should have its own world championship, its Super Bowl or World Series. Dallas hosted the event through '61, then it moved to Los Angeles, and in 1965 it arrived in Oklahoma City, where it became an institution for 20 years. OKC was Mecca to the competitors.
It was an important event, which we had started with them many years ago and kind of made the event what it was, and so it had become a part of the fabric of our city and an event that we cared about.
The purses, along with sponsorship, increased each year, and that caught the attention of some influential outside suitors, and the fight was on.
I was the director of marketing at the convention center at the time. We were looking at what could you bring to Las Vegas in that period from Thanksgiving to Christmas, because that was a dead time for our city. So you had Benny Binion and Ralph Lamb and Jack Binion and Michael Gaughan, the Boyd family, to look to see, okay, what could we get? And so they said the National Finals Rodeo's bid is going to be coming up. They need to renew for Oklahoma City, and so what could they do to bring it to Las Vegas?
When we first heard about it, it didn't bother me at all because I knew that we could raise the money that would be necessary to keep them in Oklahoma City. And I also knew that if after we made our pitch as far as the $1.5 million purse, that if it took more money, we would get it.
December was a very slow month in Las Vegas. It's when we changed carpet, painted walls, furloughed employees. And Benny Binion always talked about bringing the rodeo here during the month of December.
To Oklahoma City, the NFR was an institution, and more importantly, a tradition in a city that, unlike today, in 1985 didn't have much to offer. And perhaps their biggest mistake was making the NFR such a successful and desirable event.
They were very unhappy. Oklahoma City did do a good job with the rodeo, and it was there, and they thought it was probably going to be there forever.
To take it from Oklahoma City, they had to convince the governing body of professional rodeo, the PRCA, and its president at the time, Sean Davis, who on one day in 1984 received a phone call from his secretary.
She said, Harry Wald from the Caesars Palace just called you and wants to talk about the National Finals Rodeo. Well, next thing I dialed was Benny Binion here in Las Vegas, and I said, Benny, do you know this Harry Wald? He's from Caesars Palace. He said, yeah, he's a good guy and a pretty square shooter. I said, well, he wants to move the National Finals Rodeo to Las Vegas. Would you be willing to attend a meeting with me, with Harry, and to get acquainted? And he said he'd be glad to.
And so Las Vegas Events was formed, and Herb was the president, and so we put together a promotion to go to Colorado and make a presentation and a pitch to the PRCA board, and that's really how it all evolved.
I made the pitch to the committee and distinctly remember telling them what the new purse would be. And with us was Stanley Draper Jr. Also, we had Rear Admiral Ray Ackerman, and Senator Don Nichols was with us also. We had all the heavyweights that we could possibly muster to make an impression on that committee.
When they took that rodeo over, it was just a hope, and it was a great impact on their economy at that time.
And we had gone out and built that rodeo from scratch, and it was a success, and we wanted to keep it.
So that's what we said. If you come with Las Vegas, the most exciting city in the world, our brand, and marry that with the most exciting rodeo event of all time, turning it into their Super Bowl, it was a win-win. And so that was my presentation.
Sean was very, very influential, and we knew that he was.
They didn't come near as prepared as Las Vegas did. Everybody brought some guns, but Oklahoma City at that time didn't. They loaded them, but not quite as heavily as Las Vegas did.
On top of that, there were some behind-the-scenes, somewhat shady activities taking place.
Because there was a hell of a lot of shenanigans going on. But
Shenanigans? A bit of an understatement. Now it's time for Oklahoma City to have their say, and a vote that launched a 30-year run in Las Vegas.
there was a hell of a lot of shenanigans going on. But,
For instance, while in the meetings, FBI agents entered and searched Mr. Davis's hotel room, as well as the PRCA directors' rooms, who were thought to be in favor of the move.
I don't know anything about that. I really do not know anything about it.
The Cowboys were very apprehensive. They had a lot of strong ties to Oklahoma and that section of the country and everything. Sean will tell you the sequence of events when they finally voted on it.
we all went to Colorado Springs. Las Vegas would make the first proposal because they were the challenging committee. Oklahoma City would make their proposal. Then we'd have a straw vote, and then we'd bring everybody back in, and then we'd take a final vote, with the understanding that no one would leave the room or be able to use the telephone until the decision was made.
With the firepower that the Las Vegas group brought to the table, including raising the contestant purse from $900,000 to $1.8 million, you'd think it was a lock.
So we took a straw vote after they both made their presentations, and it come out 6-4 in favor of Oklahoma City. One of the members of the board abstained, which the way the motion was made, that vote went toward Oklahoma City. And I was pretty sure that the abstention was a positive vote. And so I knew, or thought, unless somebody else changed their mind, that basically we had a tied vote going into the last presentation.
There was a lot of pressure. I mean, you could feel that in the room when you made the presentation.
Just to further set the scene here, you have a Bible Belt versus Sin City scenario developing, and standing in the middle, a former world champion who found himself in the midst of money. Big money. And in the position where he knew it could very likely come down to him, as president, to cast the deciding vote.
When we went around the table, of course, I knew that there was going to be a tied vote. As president, in case of a tied vote, that's when I got the vote.
It was very tense, especially as the voting continued.
For someone to keep a committee in session for 5 or 6 hours after we had, in good faith, truly in good faith, the people that put the money into that additional purse were significant people in the state of Oklahoma.
At that time, when it come around to me and I'd seen it was tied, I just hit the gavel and said, we're going to Las Vegas.
5 hours later, we got the message that we had not won.
I think we did all that could be done within the framework of the possible at the time we did it. But we gave it a good shot, and you win some, you lose some, and some get rained out.
That was probably the worst day of my life. I will be frank with you.
It was, by all accounts, an intense time for these gentlemen. But now, for 10 days over the last 30 Decembers, there's more boots on these boulevards than you could shake a stick at. What has happened in Vegas, as far as the NFR goes, has stayed in Vegas. So, if this were December 4th and I snuck a peek over the edge of the Voodoo Lounge here on top of the Rio, I would see nothing but a sea of cowboy hats. It's quite a sight. When we return, I'll explain the attraction.
You know, I'm amazed when you talk to people that don't know rodeo. You know, they think that animals are mistreated, made mean. You know, that is so far from the truth. It's a lot like racehorses. The bulls and the horses are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, they've been bred to buck. They love it. They know their job. You know, you'll encounter bulls all the time that'll come up and bang their head against the fence when you're there shooting different things. You can scratch them all over like a dog. Roll that bull into the chute, and like an athlete going into pregame, his demeanor changes. You know, 30 minutes later, he's right back to being normal.
Casting the deciding vote to move the NFR to Vegas was just the beginning for Sean Davis. Today, he oversees the Wrangler NFR literally from A to Z.
My job description is basically get anything done that has to be done and make sure that everybody's satisfied while you're doing it. I was in high school when they first announced that they were going to have the National Final Rodeo. And actually, John Van Concreit's theme of the NFR was that we matched the best against the best. And they had their degree of glory in the arena, whether it's 2 seconds or 2 minutes, but all attention was focused on them. Our biggest job is keeping it in a time frame that your spectator or your fan wants to sit here and be excited for the amount of time that the rodeo lasts.
Rodeo to me is a piece of cake, you know, because we've got our ground rules, the judges handle theirs, the shoot bosses, and those people can handle their jobs. The setup and the prep before that, and then we, you know, each night we take notes, have a timeline, we know exactly what everything is going on, and of course being able to work with the television. You know, one time they said we couldn't do this live, and you know, hopefully we've proved them wrong. It would be stressful if you didn't have planning, but we've been through it quite a bit, and also we plan everything, and then again we'll have better plans for next year than we had last year. I've got a good staff. And if you can depend on your staff, now we organize it, and we start here most of the time around 5 o'clock and then end sometimes after midnight. But on the other hand, that staff is very cooperative. They work very well, and they report in. We have several meetings, and so I know where everybody is at what time.
It's got to be a total team effort. And you know, each year we say, well, this is the best one we've ever had. Well, you have to contribute that to the people. Nobody can reorganize people and make that. But if you start with the very best, and then they will get better. And I think that's what makes us continue to be successful. I think that the fact of not settling, your goal is not to settle for second best.
Prior to each rodeo, including the national finals, there's a draw, and it's critical. In one hat, the Cowboy's name, in the other, depending on the event, the Bull or Bronx name. In the judging of these rough stock events, 50% of the total score is based on the rider and 50% on the bucking stock. So, this ritual isn't just ceremonial. The Cowboys want the meanest, rankest opponents in the hat, the ones with the worst odds and the biggest payout. Sound familiar? What exactly is it that draws tens of thousands of fans to the world's most prestigious rodeo? It's the Wrangler NFR and all its trimmings.
Everybody in Vegas and in the PRCA will tell you it is a real happening opportunity, and it's a 10 days of party.
Of course, some folks that come for the national finals, the Wrangler national finals, come before the rodeo starts, and they stay a little while after it ends. Our rooms get full, our entertainment is good, restaurants are busy, rooms are sold out, so it's very, very good for Las Vegas.
In Vegas, the name of the game isn't just selling tickets. It's filling hotel rooms, bars, casinos, and showrooms. But ticket availability is certainly a yardstick of success.
I will say this. This is the only ticket that the scalpers can't get, because people won't give up their tickets.
It is an event that's wanted, and it's an event that's hard to get to. both by spectator standpoint and the contestant. So it's kind of come together now and evolved into what it's supposed to be, and that's the biggest and the best.
And if you talk to people that have never been there before and you tell them that it's impossible to get a ticket, I'm not sure they exactly believe you, but if you go try to find one, it's very, very difficult.
Now, if you're wondering if the NFR's claim of being one of the longest running, most successful shows in the history of Vegas is all hype, consider this. For the past 28 years, all 10 go-rounds, as they're called, have been sold out. That's about 280 in a row. I'd say if you want to go to the NFR in 2015, you better get your tickets now.
Hotels started to put the satellite feed in the hotels. So now fans, if you didn't have a ticket, it didn't matter. So the satellite feed would be in the bars, it would be throughout the hotel, you could watch it playing cards. And that group, so now people, even if you didn't have a ticket, you got to go watch it live and be a part of the experience. And eventually they created viewing parties. And these viewing parties, along with after shows, doing the Go Buckle awards afterwards, created a whole party of its own.
At our company at Boyd Gaming, it's the marketing event of the year.
And how does all of these surrounding activities affect our Cowboy contestants who are attempting to focus on playing the game, if you will?
But you have family, you have sponsors, you have people help you get to where you're at. They've got to have something to do. And Vegas is the perfect fit. You know, it keeps them busy. And I think being on the contestant end, what people don't understand sometimes, if you can keep everybody with you, around you busy, it makes it easier on you to do your job.
It's just like when people go to the Super Bowl. Many of them don't have a ticket, but they want to be around the excitement, the atmosphere, the buzz, all the things going on. They want to be part of that Western experience, of the rodeo experience.
The NFR experience, it's a spectacle just like the Super Bowl, just like the Kentucky Derby. From the fans and their dress code to the production of the arena, it's a first-class event.
You know, if being a world-class cowboy is what you're interested in, then that's the place you want to be. You know, that's where you want to go. That's the center of the rodeo world. It sounds cliche and it's been said a million times, but that is our Super Bowl. That's what everybody that has ever played this game seriously at all wants to do. When you get there, you can feel the energy in it, and it seems like the best cowboys usually learn how to feed off that energy.
It's interesting to note that in 1985, when the rodeo came to town, the population of Las Vegas was around 560,000, and now, 30 years later, it's topping 2 million. The Wrangler NFR certainly isn't the reason for the explosion, but the numbers will confirm it's made a significant 30-year contribution.
If you look at economic impact for us, what we have seen over these 30 years, over $1 billion of non-gaming economic impact.
It's no surprise that no one really knows how much the casinos are raking in during the NFR. That would be gaming revenue. But when you talk to the likes of Bill Boyd, whose gaming company owns and operates 22 casinos and employs over 25,000 people nationwide, you can understand why he loves seeing Western wear in December.
Well, we're not sure just the total amount of the gaming revenue that has come from the tourists that are here for the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, but it's tremendous impact.
Vegas has continued to reinvent itself, and Vegas is an entertainment destination into itself. It has more nightclubs, more restaurants, the greatest shopping, the greatest entertainment, but there was a niche that needed to be filled for Western entertainment and Western culture.
We saw Vegas change with us. And as the 80s evolved and it got into the late 80s, and right, but you know, at the end there, they were kind of realizing, hey, we've got something.
So the combination of the Wrangler National Finals, Las Vegas, all its product and offering, and the timing of the event in December has just been a perfect match for both of us.
When Benny Binion and the founding fathers of the Las Vegas National Finals Rodeo pitched the PRCA to bring it here to the City of Lights, I'm pretty sure they figured they had a winner.
But maybe even they didn't foresee that it would become such a high roller.
I don't think anybody ever envisioned or anticipated the magnitude that this event was going to have for Las Vegas. And as the growth of Las Vegas going from, 60,000 rooms in 1983 to 160,000 rooms,
here today in 2014 would ever thought that, you know, this was always supposed to be the house that the Rebels built, and I think it's as synonymous now with the house that the NFR has built.
And what's the future hold for the fans of the NFR? Well, let's just say the Western way of life is in their blood. It's passed on from generation to generation, and their doctrine of Americana just won't allow it to fade away. To these fans, the meaning of rodeo is a mainstream core belief, and a trip to the national finals in Las Vegas is an annual pilgrimage.
I think they represent what's great about America. They're passionate about their rodeo. They're Western people with very, very grounded and solid Western culture and morals, and it's really my favorite time of year to see the sea of black hats and the people all having a good time, all friendly, all courteous. It's a great, great event that brings a great group of people.
Well, we did some research on that because we were very curious ourselves. And measured it against it was a loyalty factor, measured against the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball. I believe the NFL was the closest, which was about 70. The National Finals Rodeo was over 90. So what we asked the fans is, how passionate are you about this? How loyal are you to this brand? And it just is off the charts compared to other professional sports.
Well, Herb McDonald, as well as many others, principally Michael Gaughan and Benny Binion, had made a decision that this rodeo belonged in the entertainment capital of the world, and they weren't going to take no for an answer. And I think history has demonstrated that the combination of the two brands, Las Vegas and the National Finals Rodeo, has been a tremendous success.
And lest we forget, none of this would exist without a great show. In Vegas terms, the headliner is 120 world-class athletes, commonly referred to as cowboys. When we come back, you'll see there's nothing common about them.
You know, the rodeo cowboy, that's a puzzle. That's a very unique sports figure in America. There's so many great qualities, you know, in these guys. They're down to earth, and you know, they embrace you rather quickly. You know, they're honest. They're tougher than anybody you're going to come across. I think they really sum up America. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You don't work, you don't get paid. There's no whining. I mean, these guys aren't going to cry and moan and complain about how things went. You know, they get up tomorrow and they do it again, and they just seek a different outcome.
Call them entertainers and you may have a fight on your hands. That goes for the cowgirls too. But to Vegas, it's what they are, and they do it well. But unlike Cirque du Soleil, Cowboys' performances are unscripted and unrehearsed. Sometimes that makes for a lot of drama, often tragedy, and unbridled celebration.
The first dynasty of the Las Vegas era wasn't a rough and tough bull rider or Texas gunslinger with a rope. It was actually a teenage girl. At the age of 14, Charmaine James and a horse named Scamper would change everything.
You know, the one thing that really made Scamper great was the effort that he put out every single time. And there's no horse that can match that.
Charmaine and Scamper would win 10 straight world titles, 9 of those in Las Vegas.
That's difficult to stay at the top for 10 years straight, but never in my wildest dreams imagined it would be 10 straight years in a row. And then I knew when I was going for my 11th one that I wasn't going to be lucky in any way, shape, or form. I just had to be good and just work really hard.
And in 2002, with a new horse, and some saying she was done without Scamper, Charmaine won her 11th world title.
Everybody was, you know, Charmaine's a has-been, you know, she'll never come back, and I never looked at it like that. One thing I had was determination, and was just determined to win somehow, some way.
You know, anytime you can rope in front of 18,000 fans, it makes me rise to the occasion, you know, and then when it does happen perfect, you know, it's the greatest feeling in the world.
Ali had Frazier, Tiger Mickelson, Bird and Magic. Cody Ohl knows that without Fred Whitfield, and Fred knows that without Cody, they wouldn't have dominated the tie-down roping for nearly 2 decades, and Fred versus Cody wouldn't be known as the greatest NFR rivalry of all time. From 1995 through 2006, Whitfield and Ohl won 11 of the 12 world titles. The stretch was fueled by an unbelievable talent, competitive drive, and pure one-upsmanship.
In 2001, I mean, I had the World Championship won, I had the all-around World Championship won, and Fred Whitfield's just a few ropers in front of me, you know, and he'd blast the cap and made a great run, and I wanted to steal the thunder.
And Fred did have thunder. Lightning quick hands, too.
He brought pizzazz, he brought enthusiasm, he brought talent. I think he brought an element to the sport that we needed with a little bit of the work the crowd.
It seemed in every go-around, if Cody stuck a 7.0, Fred would follow with a 6.9, or vice versa, year after year. It was uncanny. Whitfield's raise-the-roof style earned him 7 tie-down world titles and 1 all-around championship. Cody Ohl has 5 tie-down gold buckles and 1 all-around title. It was a much-anticipated rivalry at the NFR that always brought fans to the edge of their seats and left them breathless. Webster defines a dynasty as, quote, a team or person that is very powerful or successful for a long period of time. The National Finals Rodeo defines it as Trevor Brazile.
It's always easier to chase records. It's a little sweeter to set them.
Trevor is the most decorated cowboy in PRCA history. 20 world championships. He's qualified for the Wrangler NFR 45 times. $5.3 million in career earnings and 11 all-around cowboy gold buckles. He may be the best ever. Just ask someone who knows.
Trevor Brazile is just, I mean, what else can you say? He's as good as anything I've ever seen, and I've been watching this sport for 45 years. He's not the biggest guy, he's not the most athletic guy, but he's so great in every other aspect that it's really been a pleasure to watch him. He's definitely one of my favorite athletes.
The drive comes from the experience, like we're talking about, that national finals experience when you get to sit on that stage, you know, and be able to stand on the podium and receive a world championship.
Trevor brags that his greatest accomplishment is winning the 1995 Texas High School All-Around Championship, and that his favorite NFR moment is when his wife Shada made it to the national finals. But make no mistake, he likes his 20 gold buckles.
That perspective has helped me win all-around championships because I wanted to set out to win the world championship in all 3 of the events I work, and the all-around championship would take care of itself.
And which of the 20 stands out from the rest?
Well, the one that means the most to my wife is my first all-around championship, and it probably does to me also, but I never get to wear that one because that's hers.
The most startling fact of all is that he is not done yet. A 12th all-around title in a 13-year stretch is within reach. Plain and simple, Brazile has no match in pro rodeo. After every round of the Wrangler National Finals, the night's winners gather for the buckle ceremony. Every go-round winner gets a buckle and a check for nearly 20 grand. Winning a go-round or 2 in a career is quite an accomplishment. That brings us back to Cody Ohl and his race to catch Billy Edbauer.
It's just awesome, you know, here I am shooting at Billy Edbauer's record.
Billy Edbauer is retired and holds the benchmark for go-rounds won in a single event, 51. That is the equivalent of winning every round in a 5-year stretch. And Billy didn't just win, he won in dramatic fashion with his wide-open riding style.
I couldn't even imagine thinking, you know, that when I started that well, I'm going to go win 50 go-arounds and go to the finals 20 times. You know, winning 51 of them is just a great blessing. I don't know how you can say I'm a lucky rascal, you know. So.
Cody Ohl dominated the NFR last year, winning 5 of the last 8 go-rounds to bring his career go-round win total to 49. Ohl returns in 2014 with a chance to equal or break Ed Bauer's record. Making a safe businessman's run at the Thomas & Mack is not in Ohl's DNA. He lives and dies with an all-or-nothing mentality, and it usually pays off.
Every night is just special. When you stick 18,000 screaming people and put $20,000 a night on the line, I mean, I'm gonna dig deep and give you all I got.
Last December, Cody Ohl kicked off the Wrangler NFR with Ed Bauer's single event record within reach. As it turned out, he was closer than he thought.
Coming here with my sights on the record, you know, and getting the most go-around wins, and thinking it was 52, and last night I tied it.
This could be good tonight if he gets out. He's out. 2 swings. Look out. Go, it don't matter. Flat. It doesn't matter. His Kev's going to take it. Hello. He's going to tire in about 7 flat, wrap Mahui. 7-3, splits the lead.
It's awesome just to be in the same class with Billy Etbauer. You know, it's be tied at his record right now, and then shooting to break it, you know, the next 3 rounds is it's just a dream come true, really.
To set the record straight, when the lights came down on the 2014 NFR, Ohl had eclipsed Ed Bauer's record for most NFR go-round wins in a single event. He broke the record in typical Ohl fashion, the 10th and final round.
He's got it on him. Cody Ohl, look out, boys. Get him flanked, strung. Put him up there, put a wrap Mahui on him. New leader.
Oh, man.
6 and 8. What? 52 go-rounds.
Oh, my goodness.
Billy says, well, he wasn't done anyway, so how about that run right there? Cody Ohl. Cody Ohl gets number 52.
Like Trevor always said, you know, records are made to be broke, and it's true. You know, Ty Murray says it all the time, and you know, every time a record's broke, it's because it's meant to be. You know, and it just means our sport's growing and becoming better and better every day.
Ty Monroe Murray is simply the greatest rough-stock cowboy of the NFR's Las Vegas era. To be clear, that means he competes and wins at bull riding, bareback, and saddle bronc, arguably 3 of the toughest, most dangerous, and competitive sporting endeavors in existence.
You know, I've been asked how demanding it is to do 3 rough stock events at the NFR a lot, and it never really seemed like that big of a deal to me because your mind and your body's conditioned to it. It's like somebody that runs marathons or something like that. When you train for it and that's what you do, you just get set to that.
And it was early in life when he set his goals on becoming the most decorated all-around cowboy in rodeo history. To do so, he had to surpass a legend, his childhood hero, Larry Mahan.
I wanted to break Larry Mahan's record. You know, I don't know why that got stuck in me at, you know, 4 or 5 years old, but it did. And I think I just, you know, I looked at him and that he was the best, to be the best, and I got to beat that guy.
At first, it looked like a slam dunk. Murray made qualifying for all 3 rough stock events in Vegas look easy. From 1989 through 1994, Ty Murray won 6 consecutive all-around titles, tying his boyhood hero's record. But to Murray, it still wasn't good enough. However, getting number 7 wasn't going to be easy. And while Trevor Brazile now holds the record for the most all-around world championships, in 1998, Ty Murray, after a 3-year battle with injuries, came back and became the most decorated all-around rough stock cowboy by winning his 7th all-around title.
To come back 3 years later and break the record, you know, it was really a sweet moment. When I stepped off that last bull, I knew that I'd done it. I think most careers don't have a defining moment like that. Right there it was. You know, I got to experience that moment, a defining moment where I knew exactly when it was, and I had 20,000 people on their feet clapping for me to do it. It's a pretty surreal experience.
In the immortal words of Willie Nelson, my heroes have always been cowboys. And after 30 years, they still are, it seems.
The toughest cowboy story that I've heard would be Robert Etbauer. The Etbauer brothers were so great for so long, 3 of them. They made the Wrangler NFR, they won world championships. But it's in Denver, and Robert bucks off his horse, comes off his horse, hangs in the stirrup by one leg for about 2 or 3 jumps. And Billy's there, and he notices Robert gets up, kind of mills around in the dirt. He's like, that's weird. And Robert finally makes his way out, and Billy goes, hey, what's wrong? And Robert holds out his hand, and he's holding his thumb. That horse hoof caught him, it was just like he cut it off with a meat cleaver. And I love the quotes from Robert Etbauer on it. It was, well, it was the darndest thing. He said, I could have jumped around out there and yelled and screamed, but nobody would have cared. They sewed his thumb back on, and within 40 days or something, he's back out there on the rodeo trail.
To the rodeo fan, names of the past such as Casey Tibbs, Jim Shoulders, Larry Mahan, Donnie Gay, and Leo Camarillo are immortalized, synonymous with Ruth, Elway, and Jordan. Those cowboys etched their names into rodeo lore before the sport hit it big in Vegas. But make no mistake, in 30 years we've seen some of the most memorable moments and greatest individual performances in the history of the national finals.
To thrive at Thomas & Mack, you have to embrace the moment and all the pressure that goes with it. It's one thing to excel in the early go-rounds, but a completely different animal when you get to round 10. Cowboys grow up dreaming of backing the box in the 10th and final round, needing and getting a career run to wrap up a world championship. Oat Berry knows that dream and actually experienced it on 4 different occasions. The most dramatic was 1990.
The night before I went and, you run all the scenarios through your head, what you had to do or what somebody else had to do, and basically what it boiled down to is I had to win the 10th round.
If Mike Smith wins this go-round tonight and Oat doesn't place, Oat's going to be second for the world.
You got to step on the gas, you got to be aggressive, and that's kind of what I lived for in them moments. I mean, when the pressure got high, I seemed to thrive and excel the best, and I didn't win the round outright. I split the round. I'll never forget that because that's the one scenario I hadn't figured, and like I said, it came down to $147 to win a world championship by after being out there all year long.
Can Berry handle the pressure? He needed 10th round heroics on 4 different occasions and walked away with 4 gold buckles. The NFR has been about doing the impossible, breaking barriers that no one dreamed could be broken. For instance, riding all 10 bulls at the NFR. It was the bull riders' Mount Everest until 1988. Jim Sharp would change that. Sharp went 10 for 10, winning the world title in the process. Sharp's accomplishment opened the floodgates on riding all 10 bulls at the NFR. Or did it? Norman Curry equaled the feat in 1990, and Adriano Marias rode all 10 in 1994. Oddly enough, no one's done it since.
The Lombardi Trophy, the Stanley Cup, the Masters green jacket, an Olympic gold medal, the Heisman. All of these are iconic sports trophies that represent the pinnacle in athletic achievement. For every cowboy and cowgirl, this is what they're going for. A solid gold championship buckle. Solid gold and custom crafted, just like every world champion.
Charmaine James's second of 11 gold buckles might have been her most memorable. Just imagine going 60 miles per hour down the highway and throwing your steering wheel out the window. That's pretty much what happened when her bridle broke. Yet the teenage girl held her composure, and she and Scamper won the round.
There's a broken piece of equipment.
the
horse's bridle is gone. No, the bridle is gone. She's riding him in without anything on him. I don't believe this. And 14.
Most fans know the story, but what happened on her exit from the arena is what stands out in Charmaine's memory.
And when I soon got to the alleyway, I thought, uh-oh, we got a problem. And they tried closing the gate inside the Thomas and Mack on me, but there was no way that he was going to get stopped before they shut that big gate, and I squeaked through there. I don't know how we made it through that opening. The guys came and got me, and they said, you won the go-around, you won the go-around. I was like, no, it was a wreck. I mean, I was so in shock, you know, of everything that just happened, and they were trying to get me on the horse, and I'm like, no, I didn't win the go-around, it was a wreck. They're like, no, you won the go-around. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
For years, breaking the 7-second barrier in tie-down roping was like running a sub-4-minute mile. That myth was shattered on an incredible night in 1997. It started with a bang. Blair Burke pushed the boundary with a run of 7 seconds flat.
Just do what Blair Burke can do. Oklahoma, you're done. Give up. 7 seconds flat.
Fred Whitfield rose to the occasion and stole Burke's thunder with a 6.9. If you were a fan that night, that was plenty. But the best was yet to come, in the form of Jeff Chapman with an amazing 6.8.
Look at this. 6'8"? Why not?
Boom, boom, boom. NFR history was made.
In 1994, I had the honor of playing the role of Lane Frost in the movie 8 Seconds. Lane was a world champion bull rider who tragically in 1989 was killed while competing at the Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo. Lane's best friend in real life is Tough Hedeman, an NFR champion himself. Later that year, at the national finals, in the 10th and final round of the bull riding competition, and in the midst of attempting to win his second gold buckle, Tough Hedeman honored his friend in a way that will never be forgotten.
What a chance to give Tough Hedeman, and he is not going to give up. He's got a tough bull to ride. He bucked off a guy in the earlier rounds, but I think he's got him. He's in the inside of that spin. Now what a recovery. Yes, sirree. Tough Hedeman is going to be tough.
I love it. It just doesn't get any better than this.
And as the arena announcer said, Tough rode 8 seconds for himself and another 10 for Lane. Time doesn't allow for due recognition of all the thrilling moments over 30 years. But we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge one contestant who brought the house to its feet and a tear to her eye. 2011 wasn't a good year for Mary Walker. First, she tragically lost her son in a car wreck, and later that year broke her hip in a riding accident that nearly ended her career. But in 2012, this determined barrel racer finally made it to the show. And in her first Wrangler NFR, at the age of 53, Mary Walker won herself a gold buckle and was crowned a world champion.
I want to thank my son Reagan for making this dream come true.
You're the best. The Thomas and Mack has been described as the house that Joe built. So, understandably, it's difficult to pick one single moment out of a career of NFR memories that Joe Beaver gave us over the years. Joe started roping goats at the age of 5, and in 1985, at the age of 20, he not only qualified for his first NFR, he was also the youngest tie-down roper in the competition, and he won it. That would be the start of 19 NFRs and 8 world championships, which includes 3 all-around world titles.
I won the first go-around, the first national finals calf I ever run there. And Bob Tallman stuck it on me after that, that night. He said, well, this is the house that Joe built. And, we laugh about it now. I'd say, well, there's quite a few guys remodeled it.
And of course, Trevor Brazile, king of the Cowboys, has a memorable moment or two of his own. Best case in point is 2010. Brazile won an elusive Triple Crown. That's 3 world championships in a single year. Brazile won the tie-down roping world championship, partnered with Patrick Smith to win the team roping world championship, and claimed another all-around world championship. How good was that year? When the dust settled, Brazile had just won more than $507,000. It is the single greatest year in pro rodeo history.
You look at great combinations that have been to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, and Billy Etbauer and Cool Alley, you know, setting arena records. The other end of that is Tough Hedeman and a bull called Bodacious. Bodacious almost killed Tough, shattered bones in his face, but he was also qualified for the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, you know, like a month and a half later. And Tough had made the comment that I'll never climb on Bodacious again. And as fate would have it, at the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, just weeks after Bodacious had smashed him up pretty good, Tough drew Bodacious. And he kind of went back on his word. He climbed on Bodacious. He nodded his head, he held onto the gate, and he let the bull go. It changed some PRCA rules, but Tough, found a way around Bodacious, and it kept him in the hunt for the world championship.
Oh, by the way, Bodacious knocked out Scott Breeding 2 rounds later and was summarily retired during a brief ceremony in the 10th round. When we come back, we'll take a look into what the future holds for the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo.
Is it even possible to consider keeping the Wrangler NFR in Vegas for another 30 years? A good start toward that end happened this year when the PRCA signed a 10-year extension through 2024.
Over the years, when contracts came up, there was always some, rumors out there that other cities may want to pitch the rodeo, pitch the NFR. This year it came to be. Very strong promotions, especially by Dallas, but also Orlando.
I think there were multiple sabers rattling on both sides. They threatened to partner up with Mickey Mouse and Disneyland, and we partnered to create our own destination rodeo to compete. So cooler heads prevailed, and we put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
No other place can compete with us for the rodeo. Now they might have more seats, but with the entire package, it's no contest.
Like with any professional sport, the great ones age out and go out to pasture. Applies to the rodeo cowboy as well. The grind of year after year trying to make it to the finals is grueling. But the young guns of this sport have their eyes on the finals. It's increasing purses and potential sponsorships, as well as a passion for rodeo. So rest assured, there's a crop of superstars waiting in the wings.
I've had a front row seat for rodeo history. I've seen the era of Charmaine James, the coming of a new king in Ty Murray, and then there was a kid coming along that they were saying this is the next big thing. And Trevor Brazile has literally rewritten rodeo's record books. Casey Field, who's one that's there right now, that's just tearing the entire world up.
This December 4th, Casey Field will be, once again, inside the Thomas & Mack Arena. As a contestant, he'll be going for his 4th World Bareback Championship. And by his own admission, at the NFR, he's a fan and spectator as well.
Walking up to the back of the chutes and national anthem and the opening, so it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And I love the NFR. I'll stand on the back of the Buckin chutes and watch every event. It's so intense the whole time, and everybody's giving it their all. 10 nights of awesomeness.
So unofficially, the odds makers give the Vegas NFR show not only a surviving into the future book, but thriving as well. And that it'll keep attracting all these boots and hats and belt buckles, just as they have for the past 30 years. 3 decades. That's a mark that only one other Las Vegas act has been able to match. It's not Elvis, Wayne Newton, or even Liberace. It's Frank Marino, who's taken the stage for the past 30 years as a female in person.
And by the way, Every year during the Wrangler NFR, he's sold out.
I think it's a love affair that works. I think everybody believed and always knew that the rodeo belongs in Vegas. It always made sense to us that the athletes would want to be crowned in a city that was so exciting and filled with so much energy, especially during these 10 days during the rodeo.
If you can't get up and ready and at the best of your game for 18,000 people and for however many people watching on TV, if you can't get up for that, you need to try something else.
They had a product that worked, and they haven't varied from it very much. I think that's what's so great about the NFR. It's the Super Bowl of rodeo, and probably always will be.
To survive in Las Vegas, you have to be really good. So many entertainers that we've seen in my lifetime, that have excelled in Las Vegas are just household names. And you have to be able to put on a great show and pack the fans in night after night. And not only has it I think, exceeded everybody's expectations, it's raised the bar for everything in Las Vegas. And I think, years down the road, 30 years from now, they'll look back and write the history of Vegas, and they'll talk about Dean Martin and Elvis when he was there. But I think in its own chapter is going to be the Wrangler National Finals.
The 2014 Wrangler NFR did not disappoint. Record crowds enjoyed show-stopping excitement as the world's best slugged it out for a PRCA gold buckle. In the end, there were world champions we expected, and of course, a few surprises. Casey Field did collect that fourth straight bareback riding world title, putting him in elite company. Field continues to be the most dominant force in the event.
This was by far the most emotional Wrangler NFR I've had, for sure. I got here, won the first round, and then after that I just couldn't get it going at all. And I just thank my family, especially my wife, for pushing me through it all and being there for me and keeping me positive.
Hip surgery hobbled steer wrestler Luke Branquinho, but it didn't keep him from world title number 5. This was maybe the biggest surprise of the entire NFR.
I want to thank my family most of all. They were behind me 100%. The fans, those 14 other guys up there watching me. Everybody in here, I'm not a crier, but thank you all. This means so much.
Team roping has a new dynasty. Tryon and Corkin have now won 2 in a row.
We just did what we thought we could do, and when we started roping, I thought we would do exactly what we've done. It's a dream come true. I can't believe this happened. I didn't know if I could do it again, but just the same as everybody else, our family and the fans here that that come meet us at the trade show. That means more to me than anything, and just I can't thank everybody enough. I don't even know what to say. Thank you.
A Wright brother won the saddle bronc riding world title, but not a Wright brother that most expected. This time, it was Spencer, competing in his first ever NFR.
I'm speechless as far as this goes, but I'm glad I'm with my brothers. I love them. I want to tell my family I love them, my parents.
Tough Cooper collected his 3rd world title, carrying on the Cooper legacy. He's now won 3 of the last 4 world titles, proving to win the world, you gotta be tough.
My dad has given me and my brothers a huge opportunity to do what we love, and we're so blessed, and we just give all the glory and honor to God.
Fallon Taylor outran and outshined the competition. What a journey for her and her horse Baby Flo to the top of Rodeo's mountain.
Baby Flo is amazing. The fans are amazing. You guys have helped me and encouraged me. Come out here and do this for you guys. Thank you so much. Keep pushing us on, and we're going to make you proud. Thank you, guys.
Rookie bull riding sensation Sage Kimzey stole the show. He won the NFR average and the World Championship, running the table on the best bull riders in the world.
Yeah, there's always going to be more records to break and better stuff to do. Yeah, I've had a great rookie year, but the best is yet to come, I think.
And the king of the Cowboys won his 12th all-around title. The legacy and the legend of Trevor Brazile continues to grow.
Every time I see a little boy or girl carrying a rope around at an earlier age, handling their rope better than we did when we were kids, it just makes me proud of the sport and where it can go. And the fans, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have the sponsors. Y'all are the backbone of this industry. Don't go anywhere. We love you. Thank you guys for coming out.
The PRCA estimates at the beginning of each year there are about 6,000 contestants vying to make it to the top 15 in their event and to make it to the Wrangler NFR. That's only 120 cowboys and cowgirls looking to take home a coveted gold buckle. It's an honor to say I made it to Vegas. And for the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, it's an honor to say that we've bucked the odds for 30 years straight and made it in Vegas. Long live the king, Wrangler National Finals Rodeo.